As we observe this day as Mullivaikkal Remembrance Day, we remember those innocent people who lost their lives in the time of civil war in Sri Lanka. When we remember the Mullivaikkal, the word that comes to our mind is genocide. On this day, I thought through this video I would like to bring some inputs on genocide. What is genocide? Who coined this term? When we look into the history of this term, the term was coined in 1943 by the Jewish Polish lawyer Raphael Lemkin, who combined the Greek word genos, which means race or tribe, with the Latin word "cide," which means to kill. After witnessing the horror of the Holocaust, in which every member of his family were killed except his brother, Dr. Lemkin campaigned to have a genocide to be recognized as a crime under international law. His efforts gave way to adoption of the UN Convention on Genocide in December 1948, which came into effect in January 1951. Definition of UN Conventions on Genocide, Article number 2 says, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts combined with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial or religious group as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to the members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. There are various stages in genocide. Some stick to 10 stages and some say it as 8 stages. We will look into the general understanding of 8 stages of genocide. What are those 8 stages of genocide? The first stage is classification, classifying the people according to their ethnicity, race, religion, or nationality. For example, in Holocaust, Germany classification happened to be German and Jew. For example, in Rwandan genocide, Rwandan people were classified as Hutus and Tutsis. The second stage is symbolization. Symbolism means to give names to those classification. For example, Jew or Gypsies. In Indian context, we could say that it's a Dravidian or Aryans. Before the mass killing, the people were distinguished by their colors or given some dress code before the actual genocide happens. The third stage of genocide is dehumanization. One group denies the humanity of the other group. Members of it were equated with animals, vermin, insects, or disease. For example, during the Holocaust, Nazis referred Jews as rats. For example, in Rwandan genocide, Hutus referred Tutsis as cockroaches. The fourth stage is organization. Genocide is always organized, usually by the state through sometimes informally. For example, Hindu mobs led by the local RSS militants or by terrorist groups. These groups who involved in genocide were often trained and armed. The fifth stage is polarization. In this stage, extremists drive the group apart, propagating hate speeches, or the hate group broadcast polarizing propagandas, imposing laws that may forbid intermarriage or self-interactions, cancelling of visas, controlling the media, and so on. The sixth stage is preparation. Victims are identified, separated out because of their ethnic or religious identity. Death lists are drawn up. Members of the victims' groups are forced to wear identifying symbols. Their property is expropriated. They are also segregated in ghettos, forced into concentration camps, or confined to a famine-struck region and starved. The seventh stage is Extermination. In this stage, extermination of a particular group begins, in which there will be mass killing, legally called as genocide. It is extermination to the killers because they do not believe their victims to be fully human. It is often indirectly sponsored by the state to the armed forces or masses to do the killing. The eighth stage is the denial. Denial is the eighth stage that always follow a genocide. It is among the surest indicator of the further genocidal massacre. The victimizer of genocide dig up the mass graves, burn the bodies, try to cover up the evidences, and intimidate the witnesses. They deny that they committed any crimes and often blame what happened on the victims. They block investigation of the crimes and continue to govern until driven from the power by force when they flee into exile. I hope you have understood how the genocides were systematically carried out. After the war in 2009 in Sri Lanka, United Nations in 2012 passed resolution calling for international investigation into the alleged war crimes in Sri Lanka. Every year, May 18 is observed by the Tamils in Sri Lanka as Mullivaikkal Remembrance Day. Mullivaikkal Remembrance Day is to remember those who died in the final stage of Sri Lankan civil war. Mullivaikkal is located in the northeastern coastal side of Sri Lanka where so many war crimes were staged and many innocent people were killed. The final stage of war ended in 2009 in Mullivaikkal. Various war crimes were staged against the innocent civilian people, like Sri Lankan government was accused of using heavy weaponry against the civilians, shelling in the safe zone for civilians like hospitals and camps. More than 1 lakh plus innocent civilians lost their lives in this war. Today, we remember those innocent lives and their families. What happened to Jews in the Holocaust? What happened to Tutsis in Rwanda genocide? What happened to Tamils in Mullivaikkal? It can happen to us too. War is never a solution for peace and justice. In war, one or other way, someone's human rights will be denied. One of the root cause of genocide is ethnocentrism. Until and unless we respect other culture and other people, we won't be able to come out from this disease. If we keep ourselves in the side of ethnocentrism, who knows, tomorrow we may become the people who propagate genocide and we will become the victimizer. Let us be the channel of peace by accepting the other, by respecting the other, and by working towards justice and peace for all. Peace for pieces.